YouTube, it's Lisa. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you for stopping and hitting play. I talk about books a lot these days, and fountain pens and stationery and all that jazz. If you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. I really do appreciate all the love and support. Today, this video is going to be a June book recap, the books that I read. And what I'm going to read in the month of July. So let's get into it, and I'll put like little book clips of the books that I read as I talk through what I got through in the month of June. So my journal here says, for the month of June, did a pretty good job. Let me just zoom in here so you guys can kind of see this. I wanted to read 6 books in the month of June. One of them I kind of count, but I shouldn't really probably count, which is The Daily Stoic, because I read that book or try to read that book every day. And if I miss, I kind of go back, so I kind of count it as read. I had The Secret History by Donna Tartt, Educated by Tara Restroff. I had The Handmaid's Tale listed for TBR pick for the month of June. The nonfiction kind of health and wellness book Outlive, chosen for the month of June. The Golden Sun, which is book number 2 of the Red Rising trilogy by Pierce Brown. The Cartographers by Ping Shepard. My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. Introduction to Stoicism, Stoicism, a quick introduction. The U.S. Constitution, I ended up throwing in there. That was not one of my TBR books, but I figured since we're getting ready to roll into the 4th of July and it might become a banned book given our current situation in our country, thought it was worthwhile reading. Work in Progress, I picked up at the last minute as well, and Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Brown. Work in Progress was by Kate McKenzie. I finished out of that all the books except for The Handmaid's Tale and Outlive. Those are the only 2 books that I did not complete in the month of June, but I read all others. And so I had a really good reading month. I wanted to read 6 books, and I got technically 8 read, but I will say 7 because The Daily Stoic is a daily read. So without further ado, I want to say that I really felt like out of all the books that I read, my top favorites were Golden Sun. I had a hard time with this one because I read some really good books. I had Golden Sun, and I'll put a copy of the book over here, or to the side so that you can see it. Loved book 2 of the trilogy. It did not disappoint. I gave that rating I think I gave it a 4.25 or 4.5 rating in Fable and Storyograph, and because the way Goodreads is, you can only do wholes, so I would give it a 5-star reading off of Goodreads. But the other one that was probably right there with it was My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. I know that this is a start of a series, and it's part of the Neapolitan series. I thought the book started a little bit slow, just a tiny bit slow, but the pacing it just got better. I mean, she had a very consistent pacing. The character development was off the charts. Just the cast of characters and talking about the Cirillo family and the Greco family and how they kind of came together over time. Definitely hooked. I was trying not to start another series this year because I've got quite a few series or trilogies and such that I'm trying to read, including Red Rising. But it looks like this is going to be a year for me to read through a lot of series. So I'm going to definitely plan on continuing getting through this series for 2025. How I get through it, I'm not exactly sure, but I definitely wanted to do that. My Brilliant Friend was my June TBR pick with the prompt of read a book about friendship. And so that ticked that box off for the month of June. Um, and I think Red Rising was my prompt of read a book in a series. So that ticked that book off. What I was really excited about in the month of June was the fact that I got through 3 nonfiction books. The U.S. Constitution was a very small, thin book. It wasn't one that had a lot of annotations or notes. It was basically the U.S. Constitution as it was written by our founding fathers in 1776. It's a very small book, but a little dense just because the English style of 1776 doesn't really resonate to how we write English in 2025. So, therefore, it's a little bit of a dense read of a book. Highly worth it. I haven't read it since probably I was in um, I was in high school, so I haven't probably picked it up in a few decades, but I saw this at Kramer's in DC, and I decided to go ahead and pick it up as well. Just like I said, very thin, not a lot. Some people might be able to get through this in a day, but it made me ponder. So it's only 30 pages. It's a very short book. But that was really good. And then the other nonfiction read that I really enjoyed was Stoicism, a very short introduction. These little Oxford books that they have a gazillion different subjects that you can pick up and take a look at and read and just kind of get a very good comprehensive. I wouldn't say it's rudimentary, but I do feel like it is a quick introduction. Not so quick in the density. I think all of these books range about 100 plus pages, maybe a little bit more. This one was 109 pages, but it's nonfiction. Most of the subjects are nonfiction, so you got to let your brain think in a different format than when you're reading fiction. For me, anyhow, I'm a little bit of a slower reader when it comes to nonfiction books because it doesn't play in my head like a movie like fiction books does, or do, I should say. And so it takes me a little bit longer to kind of plow through them. Sorry about that, camera shake. I'm reaching right now because I also had a little bit of a mini book haul for the month of, well, wrapping up June last weekend. Again, I went to Barnes and Nobles in DC and Georgetown, and I went to Kramer's. Kramer's, you're going to hear a lot about Kramer's because I go there quite a bit just because not only is it a bookshop, but it's a full fledged restaurant that has really good food. And it's in DuPont Circle. So it's one of my main hanging out spots that I tend to be at. Um, and so when I was in, let's see here, I want to remember how I did this. I bought one book in Barnes and Nobles for adding to my list of books, which is The Girl Who Drank the Moon. Um, I've been trying to read this book for a while. It's been on my TBR list, I think, since either late 2023 or definitely all of 2024. It's a YA book. Um, it's about a girl who people tend to leave a baby for an offering, and this is going to be fantasy book. Leaves the baby for an offering to this witch, but the witch actually takes the baby and raises her as her own. And because she does this and kind of breaks her own rule, this child will actually inherit certain magical powers that kind of come into play, but it's going to be her journey. That's what this story is about. The reading of this is going to be fairly quick because the font size is pretty good size, but I've been wanting to read that. Then I bought 3 books at Kramer's, I'm sorry. The first one I bought because I really needed something of a palate cleanser after reading a lot of dense fictional text, nonfiction. I got Work in Progress. This is by Kat McKenzie. This book had me laughing out loud. This is a rom-com story about Alice who decided to, at the last minute, take whatever she had in her savings and go on a literary tour through Britain, Great Britain. So that would be Scotland, England, and Wales and Ireland, and meets Robbie, the tour guide, and how they kind of get together. Starts off kind of like enemies to lovers as far as a trope is concerned, but the rom-comness of Alice's the plights that she gets into are highly hysterical. Really enjoyed this book, gave it a 4-star rating, read the book in 2 days, or I should say I listened to the book in 2 days and read along with the book, just so I could digest it. I really wanted to kind of get it under my June reading because I found myself like only short by like 20 pages by yesterday, so I just kind of plowed through. Two other books that I got from Kramer's was The Secret Life of Bees. This is going to be literary fiction. This is by Sue Monk Kidd. And this story is about a girl who is set in South Carolina in 1964. I'm going to just read you the back of the book. The synopsis. The Secret Life of Bees tells the story of Lily Owens, whose life was shaped around blurred memories of an afternoon her mother was killed. When Lily's fierce-hearted black stand-in mother, Rosalind, insults 3 of the deepest racists in town, Lily decides to spring them both free. They escape to Tiburon, South Carolina, a town that holds secrets to her mother's past. Taken by the eccentric trio of black beekeeping sisters, Lily is introduced to their memorizing world of bees and honeys and the Black Madonna. This is a remarkable novel about divine female power, a story of women will share and pass on to their daughters for years to come. This also has been on my TBR list for quite some time. It's I'm looking forward to this one as well. This also has I think this is now out on Netflix or one of the streaming channels, so you might be able to see that because I told my friend about it. She's like, oh, there's a movie, and I was like, I am going to read the book first. And then lastly, I got If Cats Disappeared from the World, Genki Kawamura. This book is about a transient worker. No, he works for the post office, and he finds out that he's been diagnosed with some kind of terminally diagnosis that he only has months to live. But before he can tackle his bucket list, the devil shows up with an offer. In exchange for making one thing in the world disappear, the postman will be granted 1 extra day of life. And so begins a very strange week that brings the young postman and his beloved cat to the brink of existence. That's all I'm going to read from you on the synopsis, but once I read that one paragraph, I was like, I'm sold. I had to get that one. So those are the new book picks for the month of July that I picked up, or I should say the end of June that I picked up to add to my physical book list. Amongst many. So that stack is becoming very, very large, and eventually I will get through that physical list. I'm trying not to buy too many physical books, but every once in a while I just get enticed. I really do consume a lot of my books through audio and ebooks just because they're more portable to carry with me. I showed on the channel my Boox Palma 2. That device, somebody asked me to give you a deeper dive because they weren't really aware of the Boox Palma 2. So hold on a second, I'm going to dive into that. Okay, so this is the Boox Palma 2. I just got done kind of clearing my password. I'm going to show you from the perspective that if I was connected to my Wi-Fi, because currently I'm filming and we have an outage going on in my area. So this little handy dandy device is nothing but an ebook reader for me. Other people can probably put a lot of other apps on it, but everything that I do off of this device is strictly for the love of reading. As you can see, I have in here, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. I have Fable and Storygraph, which are my book tracking apps. I have some tools that came with the device over here. There's a recorder, there's a calculator. I did put in my VPN on here. And I put in the browsers in here, and they've got my Beats headphones in here. But that's pretty much all that came with the, oh, wait a second, that's not all that came with the tools. Let me come over here. The other things that I have in here are my book apps, which has Libby, Kindle, Spotify I added because if you guys have been sleeping on your Spotify accounts, for those who have had them or those who are thinking about getting Spotify, get Spotify, because not only does the music selection out of their library is so extensive, they also have a crap ton of current books that are available as part of your membership. Matter of fact, it kind of blew me away because I was looking to see off of some of my books that I have. I had, let's see, I had quite a few new books that I wanted to read on my TBR, physical new books. And they had Emily Henry's latest book that just came out. Where's my other? Sorry, I'm looking for a notebook that had the list of what I had wanted to read. Because if I don't have to wait for the public library, because in this area, the wait for public libraries is anywhere from a minimum of 8 weeks to as much as 26 weeks, which is almost the entire year and going into 2025. Just had to get my little notebook out here. So under Spotify right now, they have Octavia Butler's Parable of the Sower and Parable of the Talons, I think is actually on theirs too, on the Spotify list. Olivia Blake, Gifted and Talented, her latest book that's now sitting in hardcover in most bookstores, it's an ebook on Spotify. Jasmine Chen's The School of Gifted Girls, which has been on my TBR radar, not on my list yet, but I keep looking at it, is on ebook. Scott Alexander Howard's The Other Valley, which I did buy the actual physical book for, is out on ebook. And so what that lets me do is, since I've got the physical book as well as the ebook, is I can read along if I wanted to and join those up together. And that makes my going through a book much more faster because I can listen to things faster than I can read things. I'm a slow reader in that regards of physical books. So sometimes that's why I like to listen to them on Audible as well. Alison Epoch's The Wedding People, Spotify. Frederick Backman's My Friends, Spotify. Ocean Wong, The Emperor of Gladness, which is out everywhere in bookstores right now, Spotify. Asaka Yuzaki, Butter, the book Butter, is out on Spotify, and I think that's one of the contenders for the International Booker Award this year. Emily Henry's Great Big Beautiful Life, Spotify. And that's just to name a few. So right there, if any of those spark an interest or they were on your TBR and you were kind of hedging on whether or not you wanted to dive into the world of Audible, why don't you try Spotify? Not that this is sponsored at all, it should be, but not that I'm trying to I'm not sponsored by Spotify to say these things. I'm just saying, as someone who likes to digest books in many different formats, don't forget to check out the various ways that you can get it through various sources. And I do have a video up on YouTube, and I will put the link up above where I gave you guys book resources and where you guys can get books. So Kobo, I also have on here as well. Libby, and then Chirp, which I listen to Work in Progress through the Chirp app. Libro FM, I haven't signed up for because I'm trying to avoid signing up for all of these different services. And Libro is a subscription-based service, whereas Chirp, you can just buy the books as one-offs like you do with Audible. And I'm trying not to give money to Mr. Bezos as much as possible as I do, but I'm not always successful in that endeavor, but there you go. So to get back to this wonderful device, I like it because it's very pocketable, and because I do listen, I run around the DMV area always listening to books in my ears, usually more than I'm listening to music. This saves my iPhone from dying down. I'll let this run down on battery, and I'll still have the battery on my iPhone, but I can take this with me anywhere, and I'll be using it on travel as well. So actually, if I wouldn't have gotten the Kindle Paperwhite, I can probably say I probably won't buy another Kindle Paperwhite since I have the Kindle on here. So when my current Paperwhite dies, or if I find that it's becoming an extinct beast where I'm not picking it up, because right now I'm not picking up my Paperwhite nearly as much. I will probably get rid of it or not get another one anytime in the near future when I have this device. So this device is absolutely a phenomenal device. This is the web browser again. This takes you to the Google Play Store, and because it's a Google Play Store device, it's an Android device, you can sideload other um, apps on there. But like I'm saying, for myself, I'm using this strictly as kind of like an ebook device. I use the web browser when it comes to things that are book related, but nothing else, because I do have my iPhone, and then it does have storage capabilities as well. Um, it came preloaded with a Navi ball, which I haven't really explained, but there's a calendar in here, a calculator, a clock, and a recorder function. This device also has speakers on the end, so if I do want to listen to that audiobook, these are the speakers right here, I can do so. It will take a mini SD card, and on the side here, and I've got this in a cover case, but I'm going to bring this in really quick. There's a little silver cavity here that you push that, and you can put the mini SD device in. And then this other side button right here will just kind of take you back to your home screen, is what I did. That button right here, this quick button right here, and these buttons over here, which I have as the volume rockers and the power button, are all programmable. So you can set them up how you want, except for the power on and off. You can't really set that up, but you can set it up so it can read your finger. So if I put this to sleep, it goes into this nice clock and calendar mode. And then all I have to do is just touch the side here, and it will go back into, it'll take me back into the device. Oops, hold on just a second. I have put a passcode on here just for security. And you don't have to, but I feel like if somebody gets my device, they're going to have a little bit harder of a struggle to get into what I have on here. But like I said, all I have on here right now is just book and book related things, or things to get me to book related things. So loving this device. The battery life is pretty decent, although I will say for me, because I'm listening to so many books on here, if I'm walking around all day, it will not last probably the whole day. It gets down to probably about 40%. So I find myself charging it up a little bit more frequently. So that is the Boox Palma. If you have any more questions about it, please feel free to put them below. And without further ado, let's get into the prompts that I'm going to use to determine my July TBR. Pulling out one of my die. The die has to land on the board. I'm going to zoom out a little bit more so you can see my glorious kitchen table. The first number is a 9. Number 9 on my board, and I switched out my prompts yesterday, and I don't remember what they are. Read a book from the public library. So I do have a book coming out. Okay, I need to write these down because I always forget what they are. I'm going to turn that off too. Okay, so July's TBR is going to be that. I'm just going to write a little note here for myself. All right, sorry about that. I just needed to write down TBR picks. July, read book from PL. And luckily in this area, I have not only DC's access to DC, but I also have Montgomery County. So I will pick something off of that in my Libby app, and golly knows that list is pretty long, so we'll get to that in just a second. I'll do the prompts first, and then I'll try to figure out what books I'm going to pick based off of the prompt. Number 5. Number 5 on the list. I'm gonna bring this down this way. 5, what do you got to say? What did I put under here? Pick a book from a minority writer. Okay. That's going to be fun. Okay. Number 2. And I'm going to go with 6 books again because I do have a lot of series that I'm going to be trying to read. Minority writer. I like that prompt because it also lets me read internationally. And I just picked up an international book. So that one's there. Let's come back out. And I did change around some of my prompts. So let me just get this so it's kind of straight. It's a little crooked on my camera. Sorry about that. Number 6. Number 6 is read a book on the Kindle or Kobo Libra Color. So that's it's funny I didn't say box, but I'll probably throw that into it. So it's just one of my ebooks. So let me do that one. Oh, I know why I said that. Read from Kindle. I meant to say Kindle Unlimited, but I'll say Kindle or Kobo because I have books preloaded. And that's why, because I've been catching those books on sale and I've gotten some really good choices, I think, on that one. Okay, so that's 3 books. I've got 3 more to read. Let's turn this back around. Okay, so I got in my phone on my end rang with my timer going off, and I ended up rolling the dice and I got 8 on mine. So number 8 is read a bestseller. Okay, I can do that. That's not hard. So that's 4 books. Read bestseller. That's going to be, I've got a lot of options with that. That's going to be interesting to see which one I end up pulling out. Okay, so that's, let's see here, 1, 2, 2, 4. Okay, that's 4. I got 2 more picks. It's got to stay on the board. Number 2 is the dice that I have. So number 2 is, dun, dun, dun. Read a book that takes place in another country. Ooh, okay. Okay, that's number 2. And lastly, yep, I got one more choice. And I'm looking at my collection right now about what book takes place in another country. Okay, last one. Number 9, I already have. Number 6, I've already had, if that's a 6. Number 5, I already have. 1. Landed here, go back 3. 1, 2, 3. That puts it at number 10. Number 10 is, number 10 is pick an audiobook that's still on my TBR from last year. Okay, I can do that one as well. All right, so those are the picks for my prompts. Now I've got to figure out what books I'm going to choose. So let's decide that one next. Okay, it took me a little bit. I had to take a break, so I'm back. Looking at the tropes, I'm going to read through the tropes, looking through the prompts. Looking through the prompts, I'm going to list off the books that I chose for July's TBR kind of a hard choice, and some of these do overlap in either um, a little bit in the formatting, or you'll see. You'll see. So there is a little bit of overlap in these. So the first prompt that I had was prompt number 9, and I forgot to write that down in this book. But prompt number 9 was read a book from the public library. And I just got done taking a look at my Libby app and Overdrive app, and due July 4th, coming to me will be Daisy Jones and the Six. So I'll put a little uh, insert into the video to the left or the right or somewhere on here so that you can see what that book is. That is by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and it's an account of if I remember correctly, a female rock star and kind of like her life. This is kind of typical to me of what I'm hearing or seeing about Taylor Jenkins Reid and her writing. She usually has very strong female protagonists who you get to kind of navigate through their life or recount their life as they've lived it. I also have Atmosphere on my list, and I liked her in The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. So if I finish reading Daisy Jones and the Six, I will be a fan, and it's going to be one of those. She's one of my favorite authors. I'll just give her my money every time she puts out a book because she's written quite a few of them, and I've got another one already, two of them already on my TBR list. So I will be taking in Daisy Jones and the Six. I think I signed up for both either ebook or audiobook, whatever comes available first. So I don't know exactly what format I'll be consuming that in, but that's that's one of the books for the month of July. And I'm going to say right off the cuff, I don't have a particular order because that one's coming in July 4th. I might pick up one of these probably because this is July 1st. So I'll probably start reading another book. So that might be book number 2 or 3 by the time I get to it. Another book that I picked up, prompt number 2, was um, read a minority writer. So for that one, and I've had this book for a while, so this is a physical book. I am going to read N.K. Jemisin's The Fifth Season. Now, this is also going to put me in again on the series or trilogy path of books to read because I didn't realize when I selected this as a TBR that she had more than one to this. I thought this was a standalone. But this is a fantasy book, and I don't have a good synopsis of this book at all at hand. I'm sorry. I don't. But I think it's a girl of it's going to be kind of like the girl conquers the world or takes down the world, kind of like Red Rising with Darrow. So it's kind of that nature. So I'm looking forward to this, but it says every age must come to an end. So it's going to be along that fantasy trope of that. So I'm really looking forward to that because I've had this book for a while, and I got this from a book swap event, and it's like in near perfect condition. So I'm really looking forward to reading that one. The other trope that I had, or prompt, I'm sorry, I keep saying trope, but I mean prompt, is read a book from either Kobo or Kindle. I have such a wide selection of those, but what I decided to do was read The Bakery on the Rue de Paris. I'm going to read that off of my Kobo. So let me just pull that one up really quick so that you can see that one. I picked Book People by mistake on my Kobo, and it went into Sleep Book, but this is Evie Woods. I really liked her book a lot. She wrote The Magical Bookshop, or something that had to do with a magical bookshop. And I did that via, I think Kindle Unlimited is where I got it from initially. And I love her audio versions because you get the full-fledged accents. So this one is The Mysterious Bakery on Rue de Paris. I'm going to be reading this one. I think this one is also available on Kindle Unlimited, and it's definitely available on the Spotify audiobook playlist. So if you're interested in getting that one, again, those are options for that one. So there is that one. That looks like that's going to be a good read. And then book number 4 off of mine is Read a Bestseller. Again, I am going to be relying on I think Kobo for this one as well. And I think I'm going to be reading Demon Copper or Dion Copperhead by Barbara King's Glover. That one's been on my list for a while as well, but that's also going to tick off reading a bestseller. Book number 5 on the list will be Read a Book That Takes Place in Another Country. Again, I'm going to be relying on an ebook format, if not ebook and audio format, and that is going to be The Henna Artist. I have that on my Kobo. Kobo had a big sale, and so this is where I'm getting a lot of these books from because I do kind of pick my books up while they're on sale. I tend to get that. So this is The Henna Artist, and it's about a woman in East India. So I'm saying India, the country. She's, I think, kind of living a life of certitude. And so to get out of it, she has the task of taking people who are in almost like Harlem situations, or I'm sorry, harem situations that are wealthy women of the day, and she's doing the henna tattoos from them, and she basically forges a life for herself after she runs away from where she's supposed to get slotted to or married to in this society. So she ends up running away, developing and forming her own business, and then I think whoever she was betrothed to tries to find her in her new life, like years later down the road. So it's about that experience and how she gets out of it, is my recollection of this book. So I'm going to be reading this book. I'm looking forward to The Henna Artist. So that ticks off book number 5, which is Read a Book That Takes Place in Another Country. And my last pick for July is, I'm going to be doing this off of Spotify, and I can't make this any bigger, so I'm going to bring this down. This is going to be, pick a book from your last year's TBR. This was on my last year TBR. This is Big Swiss. Cannot wait to listen to this. This is a story about a woman who goes to a psychologist or psychiatrist, and she ends up getting intertwined with another woman somehow. So this does have somewhat of a sapphic angle to it, but sounded interesting. Still seeing this book at my local bookstores, so looking forward to reading this book as well. So these are the 6 books that I have picked for the month of July. I'm hoping to get through more than that. Oh, because the other book that I had for a foreign country that I really want to read is Shadow of the Wind, which I'm really looking forward to getting to this book. I really want to read this book as well. So I'm hoping to actually squeeze out and get to 7 books because this one takes place in Barcelona in 1965. And here's the brief synopsis of the book. A city slowly heals from the war wounds of Daniel, an antiquarian book dealer's son, who mourns the loss of his mother, finds solace in a mysterious book entitled The Shadow of the Wind by one Julian Carax. When he sets out to find the author's other works, he makes a shocking discovery. Someone has been systematically destroying every copy of every book Carax has written. In fact, Daniel may have the last of Carax's books in existence. Soon, Daniel's seemingly innocent quest opens a door into one of Barcelona's darkest secrets, an epic story of murder, madness, and doomed love. That sounds so good to me. So I'm hoping that I can squeeze this one out too. And I might be traveling at the time, July going into August. So wherever I'm at, this book will probably get touched at some point in the month of July. I'm hoping to actually make it through all these other books that I've already kind of gone through. And hopefully I can at least start it. So that's it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm sorry it kind of was hodgepodgey put together, but hopefully you stuck with it to the end. Let me know what you're reading for the month of July and what books out of all the books either you've read or you're interested in reading. Would love to hear that. All right, guys, until next time, take care. Talk to you later. Bye.